ridiculous right now.
Great. We're live. We are live. How can I make sure we're actually live?
Let's see. Just gonna check.
You're like, hi everybody. If there's anyone there, leave us a message. I don't feel like
we're good.
We're good? You see us?
We're good, yep.
I was like, I don't see it.
We're on there. Yay.
Oh, there we go. I see us. Oh my God, great. Ah!
Okay. Perfect.
And cards flying everywhere. Activated Earth.
Ooh.
Okay, everybody. So, in case you catch the replay, I'm Samantha Blossom. This is
Jen Velmer.
We are meditation coaches and quantum healers, and we're just here to share a little bit of light on the situation at hand, and also just tuning you into directions for self-sourcing. And I love my hair right now. Great.
Yeah, so really about what self-sourcing is and how to step into your power and create from a mindful place.
Yeah. Self-sourcing is probably one of the most powerful and most magical tools that you can have. And if you're not familiar with what self-sourcing means, it's basically that you have a direct line to the universe, like a direct line to the energy and the connection within you. Like, it's never separate. It's always inside of you.
Absolutely, because you're a part of it. So you get to tap into that at any time. And a lot of time through our experiences and programs and imprinting, it can feel like those lines can get pinched off or cut off completely, but that's actually not the truth. They are there, they are accessible at any time. So self-sourcing is part of nurturing, really being able to tap back into that. So if you think about self-sourcing too, it's like even when it comes to, say, the grocery store stuff, right? But we're so used to getting our stuff at the grocery store. And even on this global level right now, and people forcing in, it's like self-sourcing would be that planting your food in the garden, right? And it's not like, oh, I get to plant this and receive this and like watch this whole kind of process within it and gather that. And I did it. Like that was, I'm gathering that resources. I'm creating and providing that. There's this source that can come from me.
Yeah. If you're on the live right now, if you can leave us a message, we're trying out Be Live. So just trying out some tech. So if you guys can leave us a message, just letting us know that you're here. And if you have any specific questions on self-sourcing, or maybe just like emotions and things that you're processing right now, that
really looking for support with.
Yeah. Anything you'd really love to move through, just leave us a comment. Let me see if okay, great. Okay, perfect. Okay, so one piece about self-sourcing is that you are the person generating the emotion. And, that means that, okay, wait, let's see. So when you're
Rachel.
Oh, could you see? Sorry.
Rachel.
Oh, great. Oh, okay.
Where?
Oh, Rachel. Oh my gosh. Like, how come I can see it there, but not?
I'm happy. Good.
Oh, there. Okay, great. Perfect. Yay. Good. Awesome. So the thing with self-sourcing is that we're basically being called, and this is like why we're all kind of like being sent to our rooms, right? We're like, one of my previous coaches, Nora, she was just talking about that. She's like, it's almost like the universe was like, okay, now you guys are all being sent to your rooms. Think about what you guys have been doing. But really, it's like, it's a time for us to like come inside and realize like all the energy is generated and created from inside of us, right? And so we're the ones that get to decide like which thought are we choosing to go with, like which momentum are we moving to. Hi, Katriana. Yay. Okay, perfect. Yes. And so inside of your energy field, you have the energy to manifest and create worlds. Think about like how many multiple universes and planets are out there. It's like the same energy that created all of that is the energy that's inside of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you begin to self-source too, is what it does is it actually takes back your energy cords, that place of empowerment, and it actually gives other people theirs as well. So that whenever you are creating, it can come from a place of interdependence versus codependence. And when you start creating from a place of interdependence, it really opens up a lot more worlds and possibilities. Because if you think about it, if it's dependent on something and it's like, you know, some energetic lines and it only has this one way, then it actually closes off and limits the things that can come forth, right? So it's like self-sourcing is really about opening up those lines, opening up those channels to those possibilities of that source in the way that it wants to feed through you and also support you.
Yeah, when you think about the universe, it's actually really simple. It's like, it's either like connection or disconnection, right? Mm-hmm. It's like connection or disconnection. And I think the old paradigm of the world was like, I need to get money this way, or I need to, you know, create a possibility. This is the only way for me to get what I want. Mm-hmm. And really moving into this like win-win-win paradigm where, you know, the thing is like when your energy cords, when you're just like, you're open and available to receive, you're able to access limitless energy. You know, that means like you're connected to people, but you're not just taking, you're giving, you're generating energy everywhere you go. So you're giving and you're taking and you're kind of doing that symbiotically, like receiving, and then you're plugged into source. And then it's like anything and everything that you want is accessible to you at that space, right? It's all about the connection.
Because it's constantly exchanging. It's not just a one way or the other. And so there's a constant energy exchange that's happening. So when you can be conscious in how you get to create that, it just like keeps opening and opening and opening those doors.
Yes. And so it's really like a very old like lack mentality, like that we're limited. We can only do this. We can only make so much money, or like I can only get energy or love from this one person or this one thing. Like it's just not true, right? There's multiple flavors of ice cream. You know what I mean? There's just multiple avenues to get the same thing that you want. You know, like some people I know, you know, it feels really hard in the moment. Maybe they like, you know, they got laid off or they lost their job and they think like their job is the only one that's going to support them or supply them with like money or food or resources. And the universe is like, no, that's not true. There's multiple other avenues. There's other ways for that to come in. And that's what we're really opening our eyes to right now.
Yeah. And feeling those things, I think it's such an important thing to do too, because they are valid, right? They're based on our experiences and so much that we've been imprinted and programmed that these are the only ways that this can come in. This is how it has to look. So part of self-sourcing is also really about having the forgiveness for yourself to when we forget, when it's like goes into that place of feeling that limitation and that lack and that scarcity. It's that like, oh yeah, you know, I've been taught this way. I've felt this way for so long. It's valid. It's not just about pushing it aside. It's about really like being with it and then sitting with it and coming to that understanding though, of like coming back to that connection of source that you're a part of, that you can, you know, connect into at any time. And again, that's what starts to kind of unravel those limitations, because self-sourcing really does take a nurturance. I think that so much we've been taught too that, again, this is the way that things are. And the way that we make money or the way that we show up in the world has this one mold. And no one's made to be in a mold, right? We're constantly changing and evolving. And the way that source channels through each person is so unique to them. And it's such a gift. And so many times, again, even from childhood, where, you know, what do you want to be? What do you want to do when you grow up? So we have this set thing of what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to, you know, make this money, or here's a good avenue for money because this is what makes good money. And really the universe is saying like, you're here to be you and you're here to be authentically you. And the way that I feed through you is actually the way that you're supposed to like expand and grow and be fed. And so I think on a global level, we're really coming back to that, like, how is it coming through me? How is that self-sourcing, like wanting to manifest through me, that actually then starts creating more possibilities of so many things in the world, right? It can start coming from a place of solutions versus problems.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, like, the cool thing about self-sourcing is like you're the one creating the vibrational field for your mini universe, right? So when you get your vibration like really yummy, it's like you're like, okay, I'm doing all the things, like I'm eating really healthy, I'm taking care of myself. It's like there's a force field that generates and is created around your body, and people gravitate towards you. They're like, oh, like I want to be in your field. Like, how can I help? How can I, work with you? How can I, it's like, so your job is to maintain your force field, which is your connection to source, right?
Yeah. And again, that takes practice, right? And so it's like, it's that forgiveness. It's like, because all the places when we don't feel connected to the source, and it's like maintaining the source isn't just about being positive vibes all the time. Maintaining your force field is that you keep coming back to it. You keep coming back to it, and you keep coming back to it. And that's like the beauty in it, because how can we know unless like we know the not having of it or the not connection of it? And so it's just that constant remembrance of coming back to that self source that is always there.
Yeah. And an interesting thing about like, you want to think about when you have those dark, heavy emotions, it's almost like your computer system is bringing that file up. It's bringing the file up to be seen. And your body is so smart, because the moment the file is brought up and when you feel it, you're feeling it completely. You're not avoiding it in any way. Then your body can say, okay, I've looked at this file completely and you don't need it anymore. And now we can disperse it and dissolve it and release it. But what most people do is like, ooh, yucky feeling, avoid, avoid, avoid. And then that starts to layer up and build up in the system. And that's what ends up creating suffering. But if you just kind of dive in and you just go all in and just like feel it in the moment, you get to go through the breakthrough instead of just like kind of like, just keeping the Band-Aid on and never taking it off in a way.
Absolutely. Because those emotions are meant to be seen, meant to be felt. And when we don't, the energy of it begins to distort. So instead of it being the thing that's saying, hey, coming up to be seen and alert us and say, this is what's going on. These are the places in the stories where we've been taught that, we can't love ourselves in this place, or we're not good enough, or it can only happen this way. But just wanting to, it's like kind of bringing up data to say, hey, these are the places that you've been taught or pinched off, or, whatever. And really, it's like to see it. And same thing, like if we were doing a business or if we're cooking something, if we missed over a ingredient or something wasn't serving or working right, you'd want to look at it, right? So that you can then assess and then say, oh, we need to revisit this. And then how is it that we move forward? And it's the same way with those emotions. So it's really about looking at it, seeing it, being with it, and then saying like, oh, coming to the truth about it. And so it's like unraveling those. And it's such a, so much we've been taught, again, like Sam said, it's like when we don't look at it and the energy builds like, oh, that's yucky, it doesn't feel good. But really, those are our allies. Those are coming in to say like, hey, this is a place that isn't serving anymore. So what is it that you can bring that conscious awareness into to now then like move forward? And
they're actually like giving you a direction, right? They're saying like, hey, like that doesn't feel good. Like that's not real or authentic for me. How can I reassess or change things up so that I can move in a different direction, right? The other interesting thing is like, as your system is dismantling an old thought program, oftentimes it doesn't feel good, and our society is like, don't cry, hold it in, whatever. And it's like, the thing is, your tears are a mechanism to break down and dissolve things that don't serve you. So it's like, it's the natural thing for your eyes to just water and release and let it out. Grief is dissolving the attachment. So it's like you have to go through the crying process to get to the breakthrough on the other side.
Yeah. And in anger, all those things too, right? It's like all of the emotions have such sacred energies. Again, it's when they are in there for too long and they're not seen that they begin to distort. And that's what so much is trying to break down in our world level right now, right? Is all the distortions. It's all the ways that have felt and seemed like it's the controlling factors, both in our lives and the world. Yeah, and Elaine too. Hey. And so it's like in our personal life, it's like coming back to that self-source thing is really about, it's like dismantling the distortions around emotions, dismantling the, distortions around us being pinched off from the source that we are, and being here to actually be authentically ourselves.
Yeah. And what's hard about some older religious programs is like your source is given to another individual. It's given to someone else. It's almost like, whether, I like the leader of that religious community. But the thing is, like, that actually creates a lot of suffering for that person too. It's too much energy for that person to hold. Like, really, we're designed to self-source. It's like we're designed to be plugged into the universe, get our own downloads, like have our own unique rhythm, creativity, and the thing is, it's like when you're taught how to do that from a young age, it really helps you to be a lot more, independent and self-sufficient on your own, but also interdependent and connecting. And so for our viewers out there, I'd love for you guys to just pop in the chat box, leave us a message, like what are ways that you self-source, and where do you feel like it's been hard to self-source? Like, where do you feel like you need a little bit more support in that self-sourcing piece? Oh, hi, Martha. Yay. Yeah. So what about you, Jen? Like, what is your favorite way to self-source? Like, what are things that you usually do for self-sourcing?
Well, I think part of it is, having a ritual for myself in a way that, despite being like, not despite, rather like in terms of being a mom, partner, like what all the things that come with that, it's really putting myself first in a way. And I think this as a woman too, it's like learning that is not selfish. It actually includes everything else around me in, my life. So it's really about nurturing myself and giving myself that time to create, to find my center. So, and I've integrated it with my daughter in a way where, it's not about making her do something. It's like, letting her choose to, how is it that she likes to self-source. So sometimes in the morning, it's like, we'll have our morning rituals where it's like we chant, or we're doing qigong, or we're pulling some tarot cards, but really to start off the day with that sets up the whole trajectory for the day. And we know when we don't do that, it's totally different. It's never too late to get back into that, but starting off the day that way really sets up kind of the momentum to start going in that direction. So that's one of it. And if anything, I really will go garden. I will just like garden for hours, being in the dirt, being in the earth, tapping into that natural rhythm. Just it's like my same place. So that's yeah. How about you?
Hi, Janelle. Yay. Yeah, I love everyone popping on. Yeah, and our question was like, if you're having a hard time with self-sourcing, like what, where do you feel like you need support in self-sourcing? And if you have your own self-sourcing tool, what you usually use, like feel free to pop that into it. Yeah. As you were saying that, Jen, what popped in for me was, I think a lot of women don't realize the power of the sacred womb. Like the womb is not just for birthing babies, but the womb is like, it's almost like it's like a container. It's a sound vibration, right? So it's like when we take time to nourish our physical body, our emotional body, our spiritual body in the morning, there's a sound vibration that emanates inside of us. And that's why for women, it's so important for you to do your self-love work, your self-nurturing routine, because you're a tuning fork. You become a vibration that radiates out a new reality for everyone around you. So when you don't take care of yourself, like that energy radiates out too. And the thing is, like, the woman just does so much for the family. So it's like when you're taking care of yourself, when you think you're being selfish, you're actually doing like the most gracious act you can do,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yay. So thank you so much, everybody, for checking in. It's 11:55.
Right on time.
And we're in the flow. And if anyone has like fun topics that they would like for us to chat about, just leave it into the chat box, and that way we know what to do for next week.
I love Shungite too.
Yes, I love Shungite. Ooh, it's so perfect.
So many great tools, right?
So many great tools. I'm sorry, Jen had asked me what I do for self-sourcing. I don't think I answered that. It really depends on the moment. If I'm having a negative thought, I will like run in place and like just try to get it out. and I'll immediately jump my thought into something fun that I'm manifesting. So whether it's like, I'm creating, whatever project I'm creating, or if there's like something in my business, like I just immediately jump to, well, what if, I have $8 million in my bank account? Like, instead of like focusing on the negative, I immediately jump to a new thought vibration, of like, oh, well, what if like 10 more people just sign up for my class? Like, I just kind of use it as like a director to be like, hey, like, let's get off of this track and like, let's move into this track. And I was just sharing in a different class this morning that I always use like some aura spray. So I feel like every hour or so, like if I start to pick up sticky energy, I just use like some aura spray, which like you can really make easily, like, lemon essential oil and water, or lavender and water, or juniper berry and water. This one happens to be a lavender one with like Himalayan, like all the 88 minerals of like the Himalayan salt. But I definitely notice a difference when I use like a space clearing spray. Like if I have other people's negative or stagnant or chaotic thoughts, like I'll just put a lot of spray around me. And even if like, let's say I'm about to have a lower back pain or a shoulder pain, like I'll start to spray my aura first so that that energy doesn't get to penetrate my physical body.
Yeah, and I wanted to just bring up that very valid point in the way of how important it really is to clear our auric fields and clear our energy fields, because we are constantly picking up, right? We're constantly picking up whether we're around people or not, so through social media, through all that stuff. So clearing is really important. Mason Smith actually just did a free 21-page little workbook on how to clear your auric field and energy field. So you can always check that out at solar.com. It's free. You can upload it, spread the word, because it's so important. I think that's one of the important things too, that is really opens up the channel of being able to self-source. Because if we're having other people's stuff come in, right, and it's like, and we're operating from that place, then the channels are muddied up, right? So it's really important to keep that space clear, to like have those grounding practices to really be able to like connect in that place of self-sourcing.
Yeah. And I would also, just like remember you're a vibrational being first. And I love that link that Palo Santo would as well, because Palo Santo is a little bit higher frequency than sage. But like Jen was saying, like space clearing your whole house. Like if you're about to start a project, like space clear your whole house first, and you'll see like you have so much more energy to like work on your stuff, And I would just I would unplug from the news. I would unplug from watching anything that's going to contribute to, creating what you don't want. Just remember, like your temple is really, really important and really sacred. And like whatever you're focusing on, like that's what you're going to create in your reality. And so it's like, it's just like, this is you being mindful of which track you're on, right? Like, are you playing the track that something horrible is happening, or are you playing the track that like I'm plugged into source, I'm guided in every single way, every single thing is happening for me, like I'm tuned in, tapped in, turned on 24/7.
Yeah, and even space clearing it shows up in so many ways too, in the realms that even like cleaning out a closet or a drawer or something.
Yeah.
The physical is another, extension of that energetic realm. So it's really about like clearing that out. Even doing something like that is going to clear and create space for energy. So it's the more that those energy lines are. Mm-hmm. She's like, can I take a bath? Yeah. My daughter right now, she's like, I need a bath. So speaking of space clearing.
Speaking of baths.
Speaking of baths and space clearing. Totally on point. So, all those things. Yes. So good.
Guys, clary sage, geranium, Palo Santo.
Jokes, whatever makes me laugh. Laughter is the best medicine. It's so good.
Like I was saying, like a bath is so great. Like taking a bath with like Epsom salt, with like lavender essential oil, or whatever oils like you really love. I like putting moonstones in my bathtub. Kind of creating a moon bath effect, as Janelle was talking about. But just like whatever you need to make yourself feel like really, really good, like that's like the goal, you know?
So beautiful.
Being in service to others raises too. I love that. That's such a good way.
True.
I mean, a really good way is just like call your friends and have a fun time over the phone, you know, just like really good vibrations. And again, like Jen was saying, like go through your closet, find stuff that doesn't fit anymore and like lovingly let it go, you know, things that just aren't serving your ecosystem anymore. Like honestly, clearing and like removing stuff that doesn't work. You might want to do that every 6 months. We could do another video on that another time.
Yeah. And again, Mason has that free download. So that's available like right now if anybody wants her.
Treadmill. Yes. Yeah. If anybody wants
physical movement.
Yes. Physical movement. If anyone wants that link specifically for Mason Smith's, it's like a whole like energy healing toolkit, you know, just like let us know and we can send it over.
Yeah. Room this past week.
Yes. Okay. Great. Does anyone else have any other specific questions? Is there any way that we can like serve you today in this moment? Is there something that you're really wanting to break through right now? It's 12:02 our time, cosmic time. We'll give you guys 30 more seconds to ask an awesome question. Yeah, so our intention is to be on a live here every Friday. Today we started Saturday, but like next week we'll be here Friday at 10 a.m. So you guys can mark your calendars and just like, you know, stay tuned. Yay, thanks so much everybody for watching. Thanks so much. Oh, yes. Awesome. Yes. Check out her booklet. It's so cool. Great. Sending everybody. Love you all.
Yeah.